So the first thing you want to do is you want to take the DTR Application Worksheet and you want to brainstorm about everything that you've done within the last 2 years. So last year was voter deputization, connected with Faith in Texas and commit to deputize over 25 teachers and community members. After you brainstorm, you want to take a look at the rubric and you want to go through every category to determine what it is that that particular experience sits with. So here, it would fit best under leadership. So then I would take this and I would look at 1.5 and I would say assumes informal leadership roles, particularly in one-on-one or small group settings. So me being a leader of the voter deputization would hit this 1.5, but of course I want to make sure that I'm at the level of 6 points. So I talk about my individual contributions and the significant improvements. Because of the voter deputization, we were able to reach more community members, build a connection with some very important community stakeholders, and increase visibility with our parents. And so that's basically how I use my brainstorm bubble and how I connect it to the actual rubric. And I make sure that I am addressing everything that the rubric calls for in that points category. Once you have figured out which levers of leadership your experience matches with, then I suggest you go to the key actions and key outcomes questions. This is really important because what it's going to do is it's going to determine for you your best application pieces. So you may have written down 20 things that you've brainstormed, but which ones are really significant is really what's going to count on your DTR application. So what I do when I'm using my worksheet, my bubble is still available to me and of course the rubric as well. In what role did you demonstrate acting as a role model and or leader for peers at your campus? So I will talk about the communications, because I had to email and lead a meeting to gather interested educators. So the most important thing is not just what you do, but what was the outcome and who it impacted. So for the voter deputization and key outcomes, who was immediately impacted as a result of your leadership, showing the range of teachers that were involved. Then I would have community members and then community organizations. You want to make sure that when you are writing an answer to your key action questions and you're writing an answer to your key outcomes questions, that you have a plethora of information, because that's the time when you'll get the most significant information, and that's usually a time you'll be able to get the highest points for that particular experience. Then, once I've compiled all of that information, which takes a lot of time, so I make sure that I start early so that I have time to go back and gather my thoughts, what I do is I open a Word document and I just begin to type basically from my brainstorm and from my key actions and outcomes. So what I do is I make sure I have a lifelong learning tab, contributions to the profession, and leadership. And I go back to my brainstorm worksheet and I go back to my key actions and key outcomes worksheet, and I compile all of the information for each experience that I want. And from then I start to say, I don't think this one is as significant, so I start to compare, and the ones that have the most significance in my opinion are the ones that I go with. I'm able to work with a phenomenal dynamic team, so I will send it to them and they can kind of review it and tell me if they think those experiences are my best experiences. After that, I finalize everything. I go through and again make sure that my verbiage connects with what the rubric is calling for. After that, I copy and paste everything into the actual application and I submit. So DISD teachers, you are absolutely phenomenal. Everything that the rubric is calling for, you are already doing. Don't be afraid of the process. There are resources and tools in place. There are people who will help you. There are experts on campus and over the phone, via email. You can do it. Let's get to work.